Did it? I was pushing the wrong button. There we go. All right, let me see if I can get this working here. Sick. Okay. Okay, we're working. You guys can hear me? Are we looking all right? Are we sounding all right? We looking good? So I've been trying to switch to this camera for like 30 seconds, but this keyboard has a slightly different layout, so I was pushing the wrong button. I actually kind of forgot. I've gotten so... Did I do anything? I dropped the keyboard upside down. I totally forgot that you can just do like keyboard shortcuts for OBS. And so what I can do, look at this. Which one is it? Oh, I'm on the wrong. Hold on. If I just move over here, look at that. I can just pop up the screen. And then I can pop the screen down. What a feature, right? Now you see our thing. Now you don't see our thing. So I literally just started figuring that out like right before the stream. So it's like half set up. I have... Hold on, let's run a quick test. There we go. Cool. So that should work. Take it to the be right back screen. I don't think that's set up to do anything, and then that's just to pull that up and down. Nice. Technology. The wonders of technology. I didn't need a mobile app or anything, after all. Yeah, a lot of people noticing the portal thing, the portal turret. I've had this for years. I honestly don't even know how I got it. I don't remember how we got it, how I got it anyway. It has batteries. We talked about this a while back. It has batteries, but it hasn't been charged for ages. And it's got a little sensor right here. And if you go by it, it tells you, like, portal things. Correct, John. I do not have race mode set up. Yeah, if somebody claims race mode right now, I won't do anything. I guess I will refund your points because I don't have that set up. I guess I have my racing suit. Maybe race mode, we'll make race mode like cost way more, and then I can just go get my racing suit. Oh, my helmet. My helmet's over in my car right now because I used it when I was pro karting. Yeah, Dragon, it says like lines from the Portal game. And then type it redeeming doggo time. I guess we can do doggo time. That works. That works. Let me move the keyboard. Sure. Why not? Let's just start off right away with some doggo time. You can just sit. You can just hang out. You can just hang out, little Evie. There we go. Doggo time. Doggo time for the podcast. Come here. Lay down. There we go. All right. Anyway, hello everyone. Yeah, are we everything's looking good? Like camera's in focus, audio sounds all right, hopefully. It's a bit tough cuz obviously this is a different mic and I'm not talking directly into it and it's like 1.5 feet away from my face. But it should still I did some work to try and make it sound all right. This is now 10 times better. Sounds all right? Good. Yeah, as long as you can, hear me. I'm also I've never done this before. I am recording while streaming so that I can like save a local recording of this so I can just slap it up on the second channel. So I think that's what we're going to do. But anyway, welcome to the podcast. I'm calling it episode 1, but this is a little bit more of like a episode 0, episode 0.5. If any of you guys if if any of you guys play Dungeons and Dragons, it's like session 0. We're doing session 0 today. Evie, you can just come hang out if you want. Come on. We have a friend over, so she probably wants to be outside with her. Come on. Just come lay down. Yeah, Pup's gone, I'm out. No, I brought her back. You can stay now. You can stay. But anyway, we're in, yeah, last time was episode 0, -1. -1. Call it episode 3 to confuse everyone. Genius. But it is sort of unnamed. I have a couple of working titles. You can see the title we've gone with for today is The Horizon Pulse, which is a little bit of a pun. And I don't know if I'm going to keep that. I kind of like it. I thought about it. I actually changed the title last minute because I was like, hey, that's kind of a neat name. Because the focus of the podcast, the general concept of what I kind of want to do with these episodes. All right, she wants to go. Hold on, let me let her out. One who was here for just the dog can leave now. But yeah, I thought it was kind of punny because obviously Horizon Pulse is a radio station in Forza Horizon, and this podcast aims to be kind of getting a pulse on different things in Horizon. So I kind of like calling it the Horizon Pulse. I think that's kind of cheeky a little bit. But we'll, we're still in the drawing board phases. I did originally, I was like, well, maybe I'll just call it the HotLine podcast. The other idea I had was calling it HotLine Radio, which I kind of like a little bit more. We talked last time about whether or not this is a talk show or a podcast or what actually this is, because it's just, for now, it's just me and you guys. Yeah, welcome to episode 3 of episode 1. Just gonna call the podcast episode 1. But anyway, I with a couple ideas, and I kind of like the concept of calling it radio, because radio, to me, podcast, usually people assume more than one person. There are obviously plenty of podcasts where it's one person, but I think the general, when you think podcast, is a host and a guest, or multiple hosts. And for now, at least for right now, you guys are the guests. Chat is the guest, so it's really just kind of me. So I feel like calling it HotLine Radio makes a little bit more sense in terms of when you think radio, you kind of think of there's a radio host, and then people can call in, and that's you guys. So we might call it HotLine Radio. HotLine Radio. I kind of there's a nice little ring to HotLine Radio, and then obviously HotLine is our club. So that makes sense. Yeah, man talks into a camera radio. I mean, that's, yeah, that's my stream basically. The general structure is going to be I want to focus on a topic every stream and just have a discussion about that topic. And it's going to be almost always a Horizon focused topic. And that's one of the things where I was like, do I want to attach the podcast name to Horizon? Because not every topic's going to be Horizon, but I do kind of want to focus. It's the same with my YouTube channel, where most of my YouTube content is Horizon, but I dabble in some other stuff. And I feel like that's kind of going to be the vibe of this, is a lot of it's going to be Horizon focused, but I think the first podcast we do when Unbound comes out, it's probably going to be more focused on Unbound. And whenever other games come out, or if there's other big news to talk about, that might be kind of the main topic. But generally speaking, what I want to do is pick one feature of Horizon and just kind of deep dive into what the feature is, what it adds to the game, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and how it could be better. And just kind of do roughly an hour-long conversation we'll see how naturally it flows. Just kind of one topic deep dive. I want to generally keep it focused, but you know how we are around here. That never happens. So yeah, but the big thing, I think what is going to absolutely drive this is chat engagement, is having the discussion with you guys. So yeah, because obviously the general concept is like the reason for birthing this podcast is because we spend so much time chatting and like not talking about the current game we're playing, or we spend like an hour just chatting about random stuff before our stream, that I figure maybe it's better to like push that into its own thing. And have like a more focused discussion about it, and then maybe that will help us play more games when it comes to the normal streams, but it probably won't. It probably won't. So yeah, that's the general concept. And then also I do want to have some time towards the end of the stream, towards the end of the podcast or the radio show, where we can either talk about a secondary topic, like what's, today, well, we'll get to today soon, but like talk about a secondary topic, maybe talk about some news in the car world. And then that's when we can kind of throw up here. I can bring my keyboard back now. I didn't realize this had an on-off button. Hey, that's nice to know. That's where we can bring up the keyboard and I can use my trackpad and we can just pop up some YouTube videos or pop up some screenshots, and then I can look at that here and we can like watch a video of something together. And I figured that'll be nice. Yeah, games on my podcast channel? What? Can we please get a phone number for the podcast so we can literally call in? I mean, listen, if it's going to be called HotLine Radio, I am going to have like a phone. Should I just mount like a landline right here for you guys to call in? And that could be like a public number that I only turn on, like when the podcast is like, all right, we've got caller Amiborg coming in with an opinion about the festival playlist. You like the SLR? Yeah, I've had this actually for many years. My grandmother got it for me in Italy. Today I found out that we can watch old Top Gears on Twitch. You can even watch new Top Gear on Twitch. We did a watch party with with Grand Tour. We did a Grand Tour watch party a couple weeks back. It was a lot of fun. Hell will freeze over before I call internationally. Fair. That's actually not a bad idea, S3. So I think moving forward, and this is something I did want to discuss. I think moving forward, you guys are going to know the topic beforehand, and then there will also be like a space either in the Discord or something where it will be like for you guys to post stuff or like share references. Like if you have an image that is related to the topic or some video or whatever that's related to the topic, then that's that. Did the race with Amos on AC already happen? 2 of 4 have happened. So we're still going through it. Yeah, exactly, S3. Great to know things are already going off track. So anyway, let me bring it back. Today, we're going to be talking about the festival playlist in Forza Horizon. And then also I do want to kind of close on some thoughts about my playthrough of Need for Speed Heat with the Unite mod. We did a bit of that conversation Friday. Unfortunately, the internet cut out, and we did end up getting kind of sidetracked with some other chatting anyway. But yeah, I do want to have some very short closing thoughts with that. And then we'll kind of just talk about the podcast, really, and be like, how did that, a little exit interview of like, hey, how'd that first episode go? So anyway, let's kind of just start diving in. You guys ready? You guys ready to dive in here? The festival playlist discussion. So I figure the first thing we'll do And maybe I should even, I wonder, here's a good question for the future. Let me pop this up. Do features have their own, like, wiki articles? Because there is, like, a Forza wiki. Let's just look up Forza Horizon Festival playlist. Because maybe it's not a bad idea to just, like, have that open to refer to. Wiki, maybe? Hold on. It's so hard using a trackpad after getting so used to a mouse. And all the keys are really small, so I'm fat typing a lot of things. Or festival playlist on the Forza wiki. Yo, Shark coming in with the 25, the big 25. I'd like to interrupt this podcast to inform everyone that I have spent yet another $5 on this dumbass. Make of this what you will. Aww. My longest sub. 25 months, dude. Over 2 years. That's unreal. All right. Well, there we go. So now, I mean, what I could do is pop this up. I wonder if I can actually do this. Hold on. What is it? Nah. How do you, how to do that on a trackpad? Is it? There we go. Hey, that kind of works. So we can have this up. We can have this up. And we can kind of, whoa. Pop anime videos. Oh, heck yeah. We can have that up while we're talking about festival playlists. And we can reference it if we need to, because this might have, like, dates and stuff. But for now, we'll close it. So anyway, festival playlist. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's good, what's bad. I guess first we'll talk about what it is. The festival playlist came to Horizon for Horizon 4. I want to say it was actually here. I can maybe reference this. It came early in Horizon 4's life. Yeah, it doesn't say on the wiki, not that I can see. But it was one of the earlier updates for Horizon 4, which is always weird to me because I think Festival Playlist is so synonymous with Horizon these days that people think, A, it was either in at launch for Horizon 4, or B, it's like always been in Horizon. And it is weird that this massive feature hasn't even been in the game for a full 2 games. Like it was, I don't want to call it an afterthought for Horizon 4, but I do want to say, and I thought this, I think, kind of ever since the beginning, and who knows how true it is, but I always thought that the festival playlist was added as a response to Motorsport being delayed. Because when Horizon 4 released, we didn't know that the next Motorsport game wouldn't be coming out the next year. So, you know, in case you guys don't know, Forza has been on a yearly release schedule for the past, like, decade, where they would do a Motorsport and then a Horizon, and then a Motorsport and a Horizon, Motorsport, Horizon. And they did that for, I mean, yeah, pretty much a decade, from about 2011, I guess, to, like, 2020. And Horizon 4 came out, and then we heard that Motorsport would be delayed. And then I think shortly after that news, the festival playlist came into Horizon 4. And this was a very new thing because before Horizon 4, we didn't really have any, like, games as a service content. I don't know, is that fair to call that games as a service? Like live service kind of stuff? Longevity, like repeatable monthly, weekly, daily content. That didn't really exist in Horizon 1, 2, or 3. Think that's fair, Animi? Good. And so I definitely feel like it was a reaction to being like, ooh, we have to support Horizon 4 for longer than we may have originally planned to. So let's add the festival playlist, which will let us kind of like add more longevity to the game without having to do like a DLC 3 or something like that. But anyway, so yeah, it entered the game kind of early into Horizon 4's life. And then obviously Horizon 5 launched with the feature. Personally, my reaction with its initial launch during Horizon 4 was really positive, but I was kind of confused as to what it was when it first came out. Like, for me, to me it was like just another thing. It wasn't the thing. Like, I think a lot of mainline, like, dedicated Horizon players now know that Festival Playlist is like the end game content train. And when it first came to the game in Horizon 4, like, it wasn't necessarily marketed like that. And I think a lot of people, assumed it was like just another feature. Because the big thing about Horizon is it's got so much stuff. There's so many different game modes. There's not like single player, multiplayer. There's, you know, Rivals, Horizon Open, Horizon Drifting, Super 7, and Create. Like, there's just a million different things to do. And to me, Festival Playlist was just like one of those. And so I think a lot of people missed out on it early on in Horizon 4, and it took a while for it to like get a grasp, I guess. And for people to like understand, like, oh, this is how like new cars are being delivered to the game. I want to say, I think one of the first ever playlists had the new Civic Type R. Banger song in the background, by the way. I think one of the first playlists had the Civic Type R, and it, like, nobody had it because almost no one did the first playlist because a lot of people just like didn't really know about the feature. But anyway, let's kind of bring it back and dial it into Horizon 5, and then we then we can kind of talk about what we do and don't like about it. Horizon 5 launched with the feature. I think a lot of people now have a better understanding of what, like, the festival playlist is the end game content train. And yeah, it's got some mixed opinions these days. So let me open up the floor for discussion. And let's just chat. What are you guys... Let's see. I don't know if I want to phrase this vaguely or more specific. Let me just ask. Let's start with this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like the feature as it is now? Like, how good of a feature is it? On a scale of 1 to 10. Also, it's interesting, S3 saying AR12 made a video that said it would ruin the game. If that's true, I'd have to go look at that. Because that would be very interesting to, like, look back. So we've got some 7.5s, 8, 6, 5. Okay, so far, like, 7. Kind of in like the C range, right? 10 out of 10. One of the only reasons I still play the game on a semi-consistent basis. 8, 6, 3.14159. Yeah, sure. Months ago an 8, nowadays a 3. Ooh, interesting. Okay, we'll have to dive into that. 4 feels kind of monotonous doing challenges every week for a car I'm going to drive once. Yeah, that's fair. 8. Okay. So I would say generally middling to positive, which I think is kind of where I sit with it. You play it because there's nothing else to do. Yeah. I mean, again, it's transitioned into being like the main end game. That is the end game of Horizon 5, really, is you do the festival playlist. Like, that's everyone who logs in every week is doing the festival playlist. At least most people. Real quick, side note. Is the audio balance good with the music? It's fine for me. I just want to make sure because it's different for you guys. Is it too quiet? Is it too loud? It's good? It's good? Okay. All right. Back on topic. This is why this is episode 0.5. I just get the new car each week and then don't touch it anymore. So, okay. Here's what I want to start diving into then. Let's first start with, because this is kind of something for me, is the FOMO good or bad? Because obviously, I think for better or worse, the concept of festival playlist is they want you to keep logging into the game, right? Because if you like the music seems a bit loud, Zeke. Yeah, let me know. I think I'll leave it. I think overall people are saying it's fine. Is the FOMO good or bad? We can talk about kind of the time scale of it and just generally like having limited time things in a game like this. Because I think there's a positive to it of having short, limited time content encourages you obviously to boot up the game, but it can also turn it into a bit of a chore. Because sometimes you don't want to play Horizon. Sometimes, let's say God of War Ragnarok came out, and you wanted to sink yourself into God of War Ragnarok for a couple weeks. Well, then you're going to miss whatever's going on in Horizon. And what if it's a cool car? And so it's a cool car. Like, I got to make sure I jump on this week. So I do think there's some up and downside to it. MX, though, brings up a good point. You can always get the cars from the auction house, usually at an okay price. You are rarely screwed. And cars do come back. So that is a good point. I think they do have a decent balance of generally nothing is gone forever. At least cars. I do think, we have like chat phrases and stuff like that, and maybe horns that like might not ever come back. Like, who knows if we're ever gonna get, I don't know, like the Donut Media chat phrases, like Mopawa Baby. I think that's one of them. Who knows if that's ever going to come back, because, like, what reason would they have to bring something like that back? Unless it's another Donut Media-themed thing. But the cars pretty much always come back. And if you look at Horizon 4, late-game Horizon 4, they added not the back room, the Backstage Pass is what it was. Backstage Pass, where they would take rare cars, often cars that you could only get through the playlist, and you could vote between one of two of them, and then those would just become purchasable with backstage passes. Which meant it was basically just kind of another way to keep those cars in the game, as the game was kind of slowing down, and they just had so many cars that it wasn't really feasible to start bringing them back. I think, the backstage pass was really nice. I think it was a really good way of making sure new players to the game still had a good way of getting like the old rare cars. And I would not only hope, but I would expect for them to bring back something similar into Horizon 5. It's almost a little bit odd that they don't already have that. I would think that might be something they would like build right into the base game. But maybe they do, again, kind of like how they did with Horizon 4. Maybe they do want to like give time for rarity to build, and then kind of bring in the backstage pass once like the general, like once they've kind of finished their content release and gotten all the cars in the game they want to, more or less. Yeah, exactly, S3. I really don't think there's a big need for it until later into the game's life. Yeah, that's totally fair. You'd love to see rare parts in Horizon. In terms of like body kits, like would you want them to add like body kits or aero parts to the festival playlist? That'd definitely be interesting, but I think that is again kind of treading dangerous ground of how would you introduce those into the game through other ways? Because again, like I think MX was saying, you can always still get the cars through the auction house. Even if you miss the playlist that week, you can still sometimes snag it on the auction house. So would they have to then, would you say like, nope, if you miss it, you miss it? Or are you saying like, well, maybe they should add some sort of secondary market for customization parts as well? Because I think that could also be really cool. It's like a black market or an auction house for rare body customization. Like a couple wheels, a couple body kits, a couple aero parts. I think that would be really cool. Although, again, It does introduce a little bit more of an end game focus. It does make things a little bit tough, because you ever have a feeling in a video game where you log in and you see like some other character with something really cool. Like, let's just say it's like a MMO. And you see another character walk by and they have like a really cool helmet. And then you like look up, you ask them like, yo, what's that helmet? And they say like, oh, it's, you know, it's the black helmet of Hoki. And then you Google how to get the black helmet of Hoki. And it's like, oh, well, it's this insane raid that you had to do back when the game first came out and you can't get it anymore. And you're like, oh, well, that sucks. Like, I'm this new player, I want to get this helmet and I can't get it because it's from some old like defunct raid, or maybe it's like hyper endgame content. So I do think, generally speaking, that can be a bit of a challenge. But again, it does rarity means value. And I think one of the bigger struggles with Horizon is that a lot of things struggle to have value. And even like the rarest of rare cars aren't hyper valuable, and the economy's kind of just a mess anyway. Especially lately. but anyway, I to bring it back kind of to festival playlist stuff, I do like, I think the perfect balance to strike is things shouldn't be impossible to get, but they should be harder to get outside of the playlist. I think one of the best examples is the it's the SL300, right? That we had somewhat recently, where you could get the car for free by completing the playlist, or it's in the auction house for, I think, 163 million credits. So it's like, you can always get the car, but it's going to be way, way harder for you to get that car outside of the playlist. So you're obviously encouraged to get the Mercedes through the playlist. And I want to say that's actually the only playlist, or I want to say that's the playlist I have completed the highest percentage of, because that's the one I wanted to get that car. I didn't want to have to drop 160 mil on that car. So I was absolutely encouraged. Like, it worked. It worked for me to do more of the playlist because I wanted to get that car. I think, though, that leads into a secondary discussion of, I think the auction house just needs to be better. And that's going to have to be like a separate discussion topic. But I do think, I think, and we won't talk too much about this, but I do think auction house sniping should not be the way to get rare cars. I think, and well, okay, let's talk about this real quick. Do you think they should just let players set whatever price they want on a car? Just let the market work. Yo, Maestro, gifting up Dragon, appreciate it. Do you think that they should just let people, if a car is worth like 100 million, like what's a rare car in Horizon? What's currently a rare car? Let's say the you think 20 mil max is good? Okay. A lot of people saying yes to that. Interesting. Because I would say that, I think, is kind of my personal take. The SVJ, sure. Obviously, if you want the SVJ right now, well, let's say a couple weeks ago. If you wanted the SVJ a couple weeks ago, you would have to sit in the auction house and just refresh, wait until maybe one pops up, try to click it as fast as you can, probably not get it, and then refresh. That's not, it's not fun. It's just not fun. It's just not a good auction house experience, I guess I would say. But if you were to jump in and see that the SVJ is currently going for 120 million, you would go, okay, I gotta work up 120 million. But I think one of the things that would help with, so Shark does bring up I think a very, very valid point. Horizon has terrible inflation issues over the years. I'm not paying 400 mil for one car. But I think, and we were talking about this the other day, I do think Horizon needs better money sinks. I think they need better money sinks. And so I do think that if the auction house were more of an open market and you could list things for like 40, 80, 100 million, you wouldn't have people sitting on max cash stacks anymore or over 100 mil in their wallets, because if they wanted a rare car, they would have to go in the auction house and they'd have to lose a lot of their money. So I do think, again, this is a topic I think for another day. We can have a whole hour-long talk just about the auction house. But yeah, maybe they either raise the limit. I think maybe raising the limit's the answer. To make sure things don't get like out of hand. But I don't know, because again, the thing is, like, it still is a market. Like, Shark is saying, I'm not paying 400 mil for one car. That's absurd. But if no one buys that car, they're not going to be listed for 400 mil. But if the car is worth 400 mil, people are going to be dropping 400 mil. So I think kind of letting the market balance itself is, maybe there's some value to that. But anyway, again, we'll kind of bring it back. I want to move on and talk about some other things with the playlist. There you go. I mean, that's not a bad idea, Dragon. Yeah, just remove auction house. But I don't know, having an auction house is good though. But anyway. Well, again, I'm gonna actually do that right now. I'm gonna add auction house to our list of discussions, because that was not in there. Because I think that's something that could totally auction house. I have a whole list of like topics to talk about. There. Okay, I want to talk about events in the festival playlist. The actual fun value of what's in the playlist. And let's give, I guess, you guys go ahead and give me your thoughts on the content that's in the playlist. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you like? What don't you like? What about like length of how long it takes to earn set rewards, stuff like that. You love the trial? Yeah, I gotta say personally, I'm a big fan of the trial. Not enough variety? Okay. Yeah, I think I could get down with that. Yeah. Want more PvP, PvE things? Are you saying like PvP, PvE, like the trial? Or sorry, like the tour? Or are you saying like more things that are teaming up with other players or against other players? Like instead of just doing like a treasure hunt where like other players aren't involved. Quite like the rivals, tournaments take too much time. Okay, yeah, I got you, MX, thank you. PR stunts, treasure hunt, photo challenges, and the car exclusive ones are fun, but hate the championships. I would say personally the championships are my least favorite. I think for many people, solo racing, once you've beaten the game, racing against the AI is just not that fun. It's just not that fun. And they take forever. And I think one of my biggest issues is you can't go from race to race to race. You have to load into one race, leave that race, go find the other race, click on that race, load into that race. So I think I would like it more if it was a little more streamlined, where you could just go boom, 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 do your 3 races. But I would say definitely of the things that I do. So here's what I usually do. If I'm trying to get to 20 points, I do the trial because that's 10 points. I also will do both of the rivals because that's 2 points and it's valid for the whole month. And then I'll usually do the PR stunts because those are 2 points each. So that gets me to like 18 points. And then I'll fill it out with like one other random small thing. Like the photo challenges, I'll almost always do the photo challenges because they're so easy. And I would say it's extreme. I will only do the championships, the single player championships, if the specific championship has a good reward. Dragon says, I just got a possible idea for how to improve this chance to get the car, but not immediately. Accolades. Do a certain amount of races. Let's say 5 street races. but like a whole championship, like you currently got to do the Forza Weekly stuff. And then you get, let's say, the new hypercar, the series. And you 5 cross country. Yeah, I will say this, just briefly. I think accolades should absolutely be a better way to get rare cars. And this kind of brings it back to FOMO. This is actually something I did kind of want to talk about. Actually, well, yeah, we'll kind of jump back to this. For me, time limiting things can be stressful, but making things hard to do can be more rewarding. Where, for me, I would generally, let's say they add a cool car. I would generally rather work hard on like a non-limited time accolade to get that car than I would doing a time-limited playlist to get that car. That's kind of my take on it. But anyway, bring it back to like the event structure. I do think, generally speaking, the amount of time to get the car that's new is good. Because I want to say I don't know, how long does it take you guys to get 20 points? How long does it take you guys to get 20 points? For me, I would say it's like an hour to an hour and a half, depending. You know, I would say it's never more than like an hour and a half. And that's for a week, you know? About an hour for you? Yeah, okay. If you want to push it, same as you, about an hour. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we're kind of all on the same page as far as the time there. Which, right, exactly. So that's another good thing, is getting from 0 to 20 is really easy. Getting from 20 to 40 generally takes a lot longer. And I think that's on purpose, and I do think that's good in a way. 2 hours if you need to build new cars. Yep. Which is going to be a thing that's going to slow down a lot of new players. Because they have to, like, find and buy a car, too. 2 hours max if I'm not drifting off. Yeah. So yeah, I would say, generally speaking, if you're prepared for it and you, like, have the cars for it, it takes about an hour to get the new car. Which I think is, like, a fair ask. Right? You hear a lot of people... At least I've heard a lot of people say, like, you know, it sucks, like, it's so much work to get the new cars. And I will say personally, like, from that perspective of, like, they ask you to play an hour a week. They ask you to play, let's say, maximum 2 hours per week to get the new content. I think that's fair. And then if you want to play more, obviously you can play more. But I often drift off. I mean, yeah, I totally get that. I get distracted and I do other things and stuff like that. If I don't need the new car, I'll do 1 or 2 things a day for the whole week. Yeah, I totally get that. Jump in, like, do one of the championships, do a PR stunt, jump out. Yeah, that's totally fair. But yeah, I think an hour to get the new content is totally fair. Almost everyone has an hour every week. You know? But yeah, I think the big thing is the process can feel like a chore. So here's my big question. This is what I really want to get into. How do we make it better? Let's first start with, and well, I guess I'll open it wide up. Well, okay, hold on. Let's start with this. Do we all agree that the festival playlist in some form should stay in the game? Or do you think it needs to be, like, fully wiped for something else? Or nothing else? And just say, like, hey, when they add new cars, add them in permanently. Perfect as is. More content like the trial, better event labs. I think they've been doing better lately. You like it, it should stay. Having a preset reward, or they should be able to choose instead of a preset. Oh, interesting. Fully wiped could be good, but I have no better idea. Alright, fair enough. So yeah, I think a lot of people that have a similar... A lot of video games that have kind of a similar feature do kind of what SV is saying, where I think maybe one of the problems with Horizon's festival playlist is that you really don't ambiently complete the playlist. Does that make sense? Like, you have to play the game the way you wouldn't normally play the game in order to complete the playlist. Because no one's just jumping in and doing single player championships for no reason. No one's just jumping in and, I don't know, like driving one car 5 miles and then upgrading it to a certain spec and then winning a street race in it. So I think that maybe, you know, like, if I were to just not pay attention to the playlist, I wouldn't have completed any of the playlists. Like, the playlist is very specific stuff. So do you think it would be better to have it be more of like an ambient thing where it's like, hey, play, you know, like basically where any play style works towards your completionist? Where, like, but I don't know. See, that's tricky because they can't give, what, they give you points for like building a car? I don't know. I think they still need to keep it a little more focused. I will say, I think they need to keep it focused. You would do championships for the sake of it if they were in the game. Okay. And for like no reward or for just like point reward? Maybe change the dailies. Make them all unlock day 1. Make them reward more points and make them more generic. Sure. So those could be kind of the things you like ambiently complete. I don't think this is a thing that's been mentioned, but one of my favorite parts is completing the championships with a group of people. It's like a weekly revolving PvP playlist. Okay. Yeah. That's fair. I think that points to the fact that like the online doesn't allow you to do that anyway. And the online, there should be just like a feature in the game that allows you to do that. Okay. So what would be better things to have in the playlist? I think a lot of people said, you know, they do like the photo challenges and the themed car stuff. And I do too. Like, I like that the playlist has a theme. And I do like that it kind of encourages you to drive new cars or try new things, or like it dives a little bit into like car culture stuff. Like I don't even remember what they're called, but the things where it's like 4 or 5 steps and it's like drive the car, upgrade the car, like hit a milestone in the car and like win a couple races in the car, whatever those are called. I kind of like those because they give you like I will be honest, I usually don't do them, but I do like them. I think they're kind of neat from like a car culture perspective. But yeah, they can also feel a little bit tedious if you don't want to do them. They definitely take a while. I think honestly the solution with those is make them reward more points. Like, I think a lot of the reason, especially guys like us, like doing the trial is because it's 10 points. It's half of your completion to get to the new car. And I think if because the car thing only rewards 5, right? I want to say that rewards 5 points. I think if that rewarded 10 points, that is what I would do every week. I would jump in and do the trial, and then I would jump in and do the car thing. So I think my personal solution with that would be to make it reward 5 points. Yeah, exactly, MX. It rewards 5 points, and it takes longer than the trial most of the time. Yeah. And I think that's the issue with it, is for me, coming from like an efficiency perspective, it really doesn't feel worth the 5 points. I mean, you can get, if you do the 3 PR stunts, that's 6 points and 3 wheel spins, 3 super wheel spins. 6 points, 3 super wheel spins to do 3 PR stunts. And those are usually like boom, boom, boom. You can complete those in like 10 minutes or less, depending if you have the car or not. Oh, and you get Forzathon points. That is right. That's worth saying. You do get Forzathon points. Part of me kind of thinks the trial is overvalued for how much they've nerfed it. I do think it is maybe... I think it's a way to encourage more people to do it, you know? Unless it's a dumb danger sign. True. Yeah. Sometimes the PR stunts can be a bit of a struggle. They feel a little bit unbalanced. Wow, we've been live for an hour. Holy cow. I feel like we're just getting started. It'd be cool if you could personalize what your playlist is. Like, they would ask you what you prefer. PR stunts, champions, online, and then get a curated playlist based on that. Would be interesting, but again, I think because that's kind of a direction I was thinking in my head of going. But then I think about, like, the way that I play Horizon. And I feel like it would be so tough to build a playlist around that. Like, how do you reward someone for just, like, building cars, building, like, a random car that they want to build and then, like, taking it in the open world? Or doing what we do, where we do, like, custom PvP races. Like, I think it's tough to satisfy everyone with that. And then you have people that, like, just make liveries. Like, a lot of people, like, are just, like, big photographers. And so I think the way that they have the playlist now, where it is a big smattering of things, where it's like they have, you know, treasure hunts, PR stunts, races, PvE, PvP, open world stuff, photo challenges, stuff like that. I think it's nice that they have a wide swath of things, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do within that. But yeah, what Dragon is saying, the idea is amazing, but I think the implementation would be really challenging. And I think challenging to balance as well. Because then it's like, I think a lot of people, I think the problem with, and this is a problem with a lot of games, is gamers always look for what's the most efficient, right? Gamers are always, they're not going to do what the most fun thing is. They're going to do what the most efficient thing is. And I think that's one of the problems. Like, let's say they balance, and this wouldn't happen, but let's say they balance, like, the playlist where it's like, oh, if you're a photographer, just take 10 photos. And, like, for a photographer, that might be a cool idea, because for a Forza photographer, taking one nice photo is a big process of, like, picking the car, building the car, going location scouting, and then, like, getting the filters and the lighting and everything just right. Like, taking one photo can be a big deal. Or taking one photo shoot, even. But obviously, if it's, like, take 10 photos, everyone's just gonna, like, click, 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 click. Okay, I'm done. You know? So I think if you were allowed to pick, almost everyone would just pick whatever the easiest thing is. And I think that would be hard. PR stunts, depending how well you do, your reward could scale. Ooh, I think that opens up a really interesting discussion. Because what if rewards scaled as a whole? Like, what if they had it, like, in the championships, where if you win the championship, you get 5 or 10 points. Second is 8, third is 5, you know, fourth, like, I think having reward scaling, it would be interesting, but I do think that kind of could be an interesting way to make the playlist more fun. I think that I'm not sure exactly what the best way to implement that is, because the other thing is you wouldn't want to make it frustrating where it takes, like, a bad player. See, this is where it always gets so tough, is, like, you don't want to punish bad players. You do want to reward good players. Right? It's like, I think it's kind of like the Call of Duty problem of, like, you're giving good players better power-ups to just make them better, which kind of punishes the players that aren't doing as well. It's like, that's interesting, but also at a certain point, kind of just bite the bullet. Like, it encourages players to be better. And I think that's something that Horizon, generally speaking, is not very good at, is Horizon really doesn't ask you to be good at driving. You know, I think, I hate to use this guy as an example, but we had a guy in, and if you're here, if you ever see this, all the love to you. I have nothing against you, but I think you're a good example. We had a guy in our convoy the other day. His name, I believe, was something G55. Let's call him G55. Where he said he had played the game 270 hours. and he just wasn't really that good at driving. You know, I think he like DNF'd both of our races, and you know, he ended up asking me afterwards, like, dude, how much can I pay you for like driving lessons? Like, I suck at this game, and I put, you know, 270 hours into it. The fact that that's even possible is weird to me, and that's not, I don't think that's G55's fault. I think it's just that the game doesn't encourage you to be good at the game. And it doesn't push you to be good at the game. So I think using the festival playlist, yeah, I hope he had fun still too. Yeah, I have nothing against the guy. Like, I don't think it's his fault that he's not as good as like we are. Yeah, the game doesn't tell you how to be good, and it doesn't encourage you to be good, which I do think to a point that's a creative decision, not necessarily a problem with the game. We might think it's a problem with the game, and I think I do, but I think Horizon has generally gone the route of like accessibility and fun for everyone, and everyone can enjoy it, and I do like that. Like, it's made car culture available to the masses, but it's also heavily diluted the car culture. You know, it's like, you can say the same thing about music that gets popular. Like, okay, I used to be really into like dubstep. This was like pre-2010. And the dubstep community was like a cool, tight-knit community. Not tight-knit, but like, it was its own thing. And then everyone got in on dubstep. And then it became like, yeah, it's cool, everyone likes dubstep, but also like, can we go back to where it was kind of this niche cool thing? It was just me and my buddies that loved some banging tunes. And I think Horizon is exactly that, where it dilutes the car culture by making it more accessible. You know? I think that's kind of a bit of a problem. But also I do think it's intentional. So I think personally, rewarding players more in the playlist, like giving them more points for doing better, is awesome for a player like me. Because it would mean I could, you know, do a thing, win a race, score high on the PR stunt, whatever, get max points, and like immediately be done with it. And feel like my skill rewarded me and allowed me to complete that challenge quicker. But I think for a lot of new players, like G55 even, who's just not good at the game, even though he's a dedicated player, it's going to feel like a burn to someone like them. And it's going to... And the question then is, do they quit or do they push themselves to get better? And that's, I think, some of the struggle. Is I think they don't want people to quit. They don't want to make the game more of a challenge, because then some of those people are going to quit. You want more barn finds? Hey, having barn finds would be a cool, like, would be a cool way to do, like, treasure hunt stuff. Like, what if... This would be cool. What if instead of the treasure hunts rewarding... Instead of the treasure hunts rewarding just, like, money, have the treasure hunts be a barn find, and that can be one of the new cars. I think that'd be kind of cool. Exactly, yeah. Some are going to quit, and some are going to push themselves and get rewarded. But I think from a business perspective, they just don't want to risk that. Like, I think once you open the doors, you can't close them again. I think that's kind of the problem they've had. Some kind of driving lesson for festival playlist would be cool. And this is... Okay, so someone else kind of chatted a little bit about this. Hold on. Leg readjustment. Let's take a look at, like, rivals. Okay? There are monthly rivals in the festival playlist. And you don't even... All you have to do is set a clean lap. That's the only thing they encourage you to do. You don't need to beat a set time. You don't need to, like, beat a rival that they give you. You don't need to beat, like, 3 rivals. Literally all you need to do is make it around the track without hitting a wall. And you get your points. Or without using rewind. And I think that is a situation where they should really set a time. They should really just set, like, a baseline time. Like a top 50% even. I don't care. It doesn't have to be a fast time, but it should. I really do think they should use the playlist to tell players what like an average skill level is. Because I think what happens, especially with players like G55, is they get in with a group like us thinking they're probably decent at the game because they have 270 hours in it. Why wouldn't they be good? Right? And then they jump in with us and they get absolutely creamed. Wait a minute. Whoa. Like, I didn't even know what the scales were here. And I think that can be kind of a problem because I think even like Rivals leaderboards are super skewed where it's like really any competent driver can get like at least top 10% in Rivals, you know? And so you probably have a lot of players that are like, dude, I'm in like the top 30% of Rivals, thinking they're in like the upper echelon of players, when really, like, if someone had to fight, if a player that thinks they're decent has to fight to get into the top 30% of Rivals, I don't mean to like hate here, but they're not good at the game. They're not good at the game if you have to fight to get in the top 30%. But they will have that idea that they are above average because they're in that top 30%. So they'll think, let's even take it to top 50. I think almost anyone can get top 50 in Rivals, and that'll make them think they're above average. When realistically, that's like very low, bottom of the barrel kind of stuff. I'm in the top percent and I suck at Horizon. But exactly. I honestly think that the Rivals scale is like the top 10%. Like that's where your actual player base lives, is that top 10%. But anyway, again, that's a topic for another day. I do think, Howie always said fast time with a higher playlist score reward. Ultimately, I think that is smart. I think, like, let's say this. Let's say you get like a bonus point. Maybe that's how they do it, is they just make it not super important, but like for the Rivals, you get 2 points for completing the Rivals at all, and you get an extra bonus point, 3 total, if you beat a set time. And for the championships, maybe you get points based on your difficulty level, because I think they want you to be highly skilled for those, if I remember correctly, but I actually don't even remember. Exactly what MX is saying. As long as you give any incentive, people are going to latch onto it. And I think even if it's a really small incentive, if instead of lowering existing things, you instead offer higher rewards, I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah, highly skilled is the minimum. Thank you, S3. Like, let's say if you do that on Unbeatable and you still win, instead of getting 5 points, you get like 7 or 8 points. I think doing it like with the trial is a bit risky because then it's more dependent on your team. But I don't know. I guess like, yeah, you have to win the trial anyway. So that one I think is fine. But yeah, like PR stunts. Well, I guess though PR stunts, you have to hit a certain point anyway. So there are some things where it's like, it is a pass-fail. But I do think in other ways, they definitely could encourage higher skilled players and try to set that bar of hey, this is kind of how good we expect our average player base to be. I think that could be really well funneled in to the festival playlist. Haven't used the stars from PR stunts as a ranking system. 1 is passable, 2 is good, 3 is expert. Yeah, I think that could definitely work. I think that could, and then you just get like 1, 2, or 3 points. Because at current, you get 2, right? Currently, you get 2. So if you got 3 for going above and beyond, 1 for like not quite making it, I think that's a good way to do it. SV says, I remember doing the kudos challenges in PGR, and those were hard compared to what we have now, but it seems like people complain when something is challenging nowadays. So here's where I think some of the problem lies. Because yes, you will have this week, I think is a really good example. You had people complaining about one of the drift PR stunts, if I remember right, because it wasn't like tuned super well and a lot of people couldn't do it. I think that generally speaking, even though we were just talking about adding challenge to the playlist, because that's a good way to like encourage players to get more, to understand kind of what skill level is expected of them. I will say though, that I think as a whole, there should be more not time-gated challenge to the game. I think that again, like with accolades, I do think that having like really hard to accomplish accolades is a good thing, and attach rewards to them. Attach permanent rewards to challenging accolades. I think the accolade system is unfortunately, I don't want to call it underused, but it's underutilized. I guess I would say that. It's not underused, it's underutilized. I think the accolade system is a really good tool to put some cool rewards behind. Please stop with the S2 PR stunts. They are generally definitely geared towards higher classes. Yeah. A lot of Reddit was just calling it impossible. Some loved it though. Yeah, I think people are looking. There's definitely a group of players that are looking for a challenge, but then there's also a group of players that's seeing it as a chore and they just want to get through it as fast as possible. Should be an accolade shop. That is brilliant, MX. Oh my god. There should be an accolade shop. Dude, that's genius. We need an accolade shop. Heck yeah, that would be so cool. All right, I gotta write that down because we have to talk about accolades another day, and we got to talk about accolade shop stuff. Hold on. That's awesome. That's awesome. Anyway, PR stunts have gotten more difficult in the last months, and I like it. Yeah. How does one buy a completionist reward? Wait, what do you mean? Yeah, what MX is saying, you get the accolade points, just spend them on things. Right. It would be spending your accolade points on things. Yeah. Okay, I think Shark gets it. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I think that'd be a great money sink. Over 1 mil accolade points. I'm not even there. I think I'm around 600,000 or 700,000 personally. But again, I'm not the most completionist. I kind of like funnel myself into one gameplay style. Wowie doesn't enjoy the PR stunts. Okay, yeah. Okay, here's kind of one of the other topics. I think it's kind of one of the last like deep dive topics I want to talk about, and then I want to kind of like pull it back a little. Do you guys think, like, let's just assume the same amount of content, 2 cars, maybe some customization stuff, some new clothing items, some new chat phrases. Like, let's assume we're not going to get any more or any less content than we regularly do. Do you guys think that stuff should continue to be delivered through the playlist? Or should they start adding, like, let's say, again, let's focus on the 2 cars. Do you think that they should instead be like, we're just adding these cars to the auction or to the car show, and you can just buy them? Like, you don't have to do the playlist. Like, you can just buy the cars. Like, we're adding them to the game. You can just buy them. Or do you think that having that stuff in the playlist, like, we'll start with kind of just the cars. Do you think that cars should stay as playlist rewards, or they should be added either through more permanent means, like adding a new barn find, just adding them to the car show, adding them behind an accolade, stuff like that? Like, you think they should be playlist rewards? I'm seeing a couple yeses. Yeah. Why would you? Yeah, that's a good point. Why even play the playlist if not for the cars? Yeah, that's true. I think that kind of rolls into something else I do want to talk about. Yeah, I think ultimately, yeah, it would be less hype. Right, yeah. I do think, again, having it be limited time is a bit of a double-edged sword, but I think it kind of leans one way as being a good thing. Recycled cars should be in the auto show. Yeah, I think that's potentially kind of a good way to do it, is have cars from previous games be added to the auto show, brand new cars be added to the playlist. Yeah, I kind of like that. Not car show, but maybe behind an accolade or something. So you still have like some level of challenge. Yeah. Let me win a car via challenge to get it early, put it for normal sale weeks later. Yeah, I like that. I do think that structures like that where it's like time gated. And again, this is kind of what we were talking about with the Mercedes, where it's like you can buy it in the auto show, but it's really expensive, or you can get it right now in the playlist. Stuff like that makes sense, yeah. Maybe add playlist cars to the car show after they're around 2 times already. Yeah, sure. Cars should be in the auto show a series after. Yeah, I kind of like that, actually. I really like that, where there's some form of... Well, I guess that... You know what? Honestly, though, that kind of rolls it all back to the backstage pass. I think that kind of rolls it all back to, like... I think at some point, Horizon 5 needs a backstage pass. Where they start funneling those cars in, and you can just get them through the backstage pass. I think that's honestly the answer that ultimately a lot of us are probably looking for. But yeah. I feel like that would remove the point. Yeah, why spend time grinding if I can just buy it for 100k? Yeah. Yeah, I think the people's scales of how hard it should be to achieve, how long of a time to wait before it's easier to get the car, stuff like that. I think that's probably going to differ a lot for different players. But yeah. I've never done a festival playlist without getting a car until the 10th anniversary month. Did the championships for the intro songs. Yeah, same, ODST. So, okay, this rolls me into the next conversation. And this is kind of something that I think is the tip of the iceberg for a bigger discussion. But rewards. Obviously, I think the cars are the primary reward. Not even the cars, but like the new car is pretty much the only reason most players do the playlist. And I know the 10th anniversary with the music, that was another one. But most players don't care about any of the other cars. I would say that most players could not care less about any of the other cars, because most long-term players already have those cars, and they having duplicates pretty much has no value. So I would say most and maybe I'm wrong here, you guys can chip in, but most long-term Horizon players, really the only reward that they feel is valuable is the new car. Or maybe sometimes it's like the rare car. For me, it was like getting the Ascari, because I didn't have the Ascari. So what do you think? And again, this is the tip of the iceberg for like Horizon's entire reward and value and rarity structure. But what do you think they could add in the playlist to make the playlist feel more worth it? What do you think they should... What are better rewards, to add to the playlist, to make it so it's like you want to do those championships because there's something cool if you complete that championship? Something that bothers me is lately the 40-point cars are totally not worth it. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You're predicting the backstage pass will be added around Horizon 5. Added to Horizon 5 around this time next year, about 2 years into its life. I could totally see that. Car mods or body kits. Okay, so yeah, that's something else that I think we were talking about earlier, was adding body kits into the festival playlist as like making rare body kits and rare aero parts a thing. Yeah, I think there's some value behind that. And this is, again, I think I'm struggling to come up with ideas because nothing's really that valuable in Horizon. That's the problem, is really the only things that are valuable in Horizon are rare cars. And that's it. Like, there's really nothing else. Like, no one cares about clothing. No one really cares that much about chat phrases. I just don't think, like, there's just not that much. Probably could, yeah, new wheels. You could add new wheels. That's not a bad idea. If money was worth something, wheel spins from playlists would actually matter. Yeah. Or it could reward straight money based on performance. I think it all goes towards the main currency being too easy to get. Yeah, I fully agree with that, Ami. I think, you know, for me, I do the PR stunts to get those super wheel spins because A, they're easy, and B, a super wheel spin is more valuable to me than just like a car. I don't need any more cars. Any more of the existing cars anyway. And so for me, like, a super wheel spin is the closest you get to just like raw cash. But again, with like no money sinks in the game and it being pretty easy to get money anyway, there's not really that much point to even having money in the first place. For most long-term players, money is like nothing. Money just doesn't matter. Money just doesn't matter. I'm going to take a quick water break here also. But yeah, if you guys, I don't know, like, what if, is there something new that could be added to the game that could be a good reward? And Medi says they like it when the new car is locked at a higher point requirement. I will say personally, I don't. Because for me, it does come down to, you know, if I don't want to play a lot of Horizon, I just want to get the car and get out. And granted, there are some times I like really do want to sink myself in Horizon and I want to play it. But I think, for me personally, making a limited time reward harder to get is not something that I want. I'm totally fine with them adding more challenge if I have the time to do that challenge, but I don't personally love, with my playstyle, I don't personally love making time-gated things more challenging. But I do get that. And yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, for people who don't have Xbox Live, they wouldn't be able to. I don't think they can get 40 points. So that it would require a rebalance, like a bit of a restructure. As much as I hate the idea of time-limited cosmetics, I think it'd be the only thing of value other than a new car. Yeah. Interior mods, like an ETS2, would be cool rewards as well, but that's on a whole new level. Yeah, but I mean, that's the type of idea. Like, you know what? I just thought of one that I think would be cool. I think having more liveries. I think having either custom liveries or custom decals could maybe be kind of a cool thing. Like, obviously, I don't think the preset decals have changed much in like years. Like, we've had like the same fonts, the same basic shapes, the same, you know, stripes, flames, tribal things. I think adding in like big preset, you know, more like Need for Speed style, where you can like slap a big like a big semi-complete livery, like a big semi-complete decal, would be kind of cool, because I don't think it necessarily takes away from the value of current livery creators, but it would let people like just slap on, you know, some more easy like semi-complete vinyls. Also add exhaust tips, make them limited. Sure. Yeah, Underground 2, good times. Right. Older, the basic decals are older than most of the game's player base. I mean, they honestly are. They honestly are very, very old. Yeah, adding some old race liveries. Yeah, I think that would be something that I think players wouldn't feel too bad for missing out on. I think it could add more value to the auction house, because if you have like a rare livery on a rare car on the auction house, that makes it like bonus cool. Unlocking different engine swaps That could be another cool thing as well. Yeah. Although again, that gets a little bit into the question of like meta balance, because if like some locked engine swap, it's really really good, then it, you know, there's a bit of player imbalance there. But yeah, I do think generally speaking that is cool. Yeah, MX, right. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, I would mess with the meta balance. But I do think that's like a cool concept for sure. Yeah, I do think it's like when you get cars, yeah, with that are gifted around Valentine's Day or Pride livery, stuff like that. Yeah, like when you get them in the mail system. I think having something like that in the festival playlist would be a cooler reward. Because again, like, you know, if we look at, you guys see my, okay, I'm like stretching my foot, and I don't know if my like sock is just popping up into camera or not. But I do think what would be really cool is, again, going back to the Hokey Edition Supra. I only made 100 of them. They're like hyper rare. They're apparently hyper valuable. Like there are people hunting for them, willing to pay like hundreds of millions of in-game credits for them, which I think is really cool. But it's obviously the Mark III Supra is not a rare car. You just buy one. But what makes it rare and cool is it's limited and has a special livery. And so I think that would be something really easy for Playground to do, is making custom edition liveries and maybe even set like a custom tune for them. Because then new players won't feel, I think, too bad for missing out. Because it's like, hey, you can still drive the same car. It just won't have like this cool limited edition livery. Or it just won't have like, I don't know, something else. Something else. Is it sad that I would grind for new fonts for Decal Creator as a reward? Dude, they need to add new fonts so bad. So bad. Ugh. Yeah. S3's very salty they don't have one. I think a lot of people are, unfortunately. We need Comic Sans, right. In Auction House, it would only work if the reward decal is a one-time apply. Yeah, I think they could do that. I think that's fine. High quality, cool liveries would be a cool reward. Yeah, I think that would be a really good thing to add. I think of like other things that feel valuable or would feel valuable in Horizon, but are also things that are okay to add as something that's limited time. Unlock the auction house so I can keep hunting Hokey Supra. Yeah. You might get a knockoff though. You never know. You never know if you're going to get the real thing. I think there's a couple of knockoffs floating around, unfortunately. But people generally know. I don't think there's any that are like being passed off as real. That did not screw on right. I think, so Jawbreaker, I think that kind of comes back to it locks out players who missed it too much. Because you have to also come in from the perspective of like, let's say I get Horizon a year from now as a brand new player. I'm going to see all these cool map areas, and then it's going to be like, well, how do you get that? How do you get that? Well, it's like, wow, it was in the playlist a while back. Sorry, you can't access it. That's tricky. Oh, Ami, that's a good point. Yeah, it would show the painter name. Can we get a new Horizon story hosted by you? Dude, I would love that. Honestly, like, if I were ever asked to do a Horizon story, I'd be there. I would fully be there, without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, I think it's the reason it's so hard to think of good rewards for the festival playlist is because there's just really not that much that feels rewarding to longtime players. Cars are pointless. We already have them all. Money is pointless. We already have a ton of it. Like, I think in order to make something more rewarding in Horizon, you need to change another gameplay feature. You need to make money mean more. You need to add a money sink. You need to do something else. I think the problem can't be solved exclusively within the playlist. Yeah, Dragon, I do know that, but it's pretty obviously fake. It's pretty Like, it's, if you put them side by side, they are like very stark differences between them, unfortunately. What about new areas dedicating game time and leveling? What do you mean, Zeke? Explain that a little bit further. Ooh, player houses. Oh, that could be cool. Yeah. Although, again, I do think I would personally like a player house to be locked behind something like an accolade. But I do think, yeah, player houses is another... That is something I would find very rewarding, and I would fully work towards. You'd pay 100 mil just to pave a road to your house? Sure. I think we need more new cars. I think I agree. I think more new cars is always good, but it's clear that Playground can't feasibly do that, or isn't feasibly doing that, you know? Yeah, exactly. Even like unlocking new areas inside the festivals. Ooh, like what? Like give an example, just a new parking area inside the festival. That's like, hey, you can only get here if you have like the VIP pass from the festival playlist episode 12 or something like that. What do you think of collective goals? I love collective goals. I personally love collective goals. It does bum me out that they really like haven't done those. The two I can think of were the world tour kind of thing, where you like picked a team, and like the winning team won whatever the car was, the Bugatti Divo or something. Yeah. And then the Christmas one, obviously. Having like a workshop, painting booth, or somewhere bigger to park your car. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think again, it's really challenging to strike that balance between making it rewarding, but also making sure that new players don't feel like they missed out too much. Like, if it's like a really good parking area or a really good paint booth, new players that want to jump into the livery creator are gonna have a tough time. Like, you need some other way to get it. You need like a backstage pass for wherever this new location is. Yeah. Bring back Horizon 4's Forzathon. Dude, I fully agree. That's a topic for another day again, but like, the Horizon 4's Forzathon was way better to me than Horizon 5's arcade. Yeah. The World Cup would have been interesting if Japan didn't exist. Yeah, right. I mean, I was like, Team Japan, but then everyone was like, well, the Bugatti Divo is like the only rare car, so we should at least try and push for the Bugatti Divo. But of course, everyone's gonna pick Team Japan, even though I don't even remember what the reward car was, but it was something you could just like buy in the auto show. So yeah. All right. Well, hey, we've been going over an hour. Man. All right. The R390. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was the R390, right. Yeah. Wait, Shark was right? Oh, wait. Was it the GTR LM? Yeah, the R33, like... Oh, okay. Well, that's... Yeah, alright, whatever. Yeah, I think that is right. Okay, the GTR LM. Got it. Okay, well, let's kind of bring it back. Yeah, that proves how good of a reward it wasn't. Right, none of us even remembered like what it was or care at all about it, because it's like, who cares? Yo, Sappy, I gotta start pointing down. Point at my crotchal region. Hey, Sappy, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. I did, by the way, Sappy, get your message. I just have not responded to it, but it's very intriguing. I'll respond to it later tonight. But yeah, I have been busy this morning. But anyway, let's kind of bring it back out, pull it back, and try to put a bow on this conversation a little bit. put a bow on this conversation. I think as a whole, generally speaking, we all agree that the festival playlist is a good feature in some form. It's not bad. I think almost all of you, I think the lowest score I saw was like a 4 out of 10. And most of you were, I think I saw a lot of like 6s, 7s, and 8s. So I think generally speaking, we can say the festival playlist is good. It's good, but it's kind of getting old and it needs a bit of a refresh. And I think there are a lot of ways to make it more dynamic. I think a lot of good ideas popped up, like having point rewards based on how well you perform, having, rebalancing point rewards in general, having a certain skill level to reach certain points and get better things, and then get better rewards, and then getting better rewards out of the playlist. Things like custom liveries or body kits or wheels or whatever. Yeah, it gives you a reason to play. It gives you a reason to log in every week. And I do think that's good. When am I going to talk to my guest? I know, I've been totally ignoring him the whole time. I wish the devs think like us as well. I think a lot of them do. Again, I don't want to get like too deep into this. I think a lot of them do, but I think they just have a lot of other things to worry about as well. It's always different when it's like a team of hundreds of people trying to make money, I think it's always different when you have to consider like that you're a business, and you have a lot of people with a lot of different ideas, and you're trying to appeal to a very wide audience, and you have to deal with, nothing's easy. I guess in a big dev studio, nothing's easy. It's kind of like again, like the government. Like, you can't just like pass a law. It has to go through like 18 million steps. It has to get, approval from percentages of people, and then people can turn it down. Like, in a big studio, I think it's just hard to push that stuff through the door. Will I talk about the next expansion? We have one of the topics I want to talk about is expansions. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think generally speaking, it is a good feature. And I think that most people would agree it's a good feature. But most people would agree. I mean, well, what's the best? Okay, let me ask this. The conclusion I've come to is that my opinion is best and correct and everyone else is complete trash. Yeah, pretty much. I agree fully. Yeah, I agree fully. So only Horizon 5 today? Correct. Yeah. The focus generally of the podcast, and we talked about this at the beginning, the focus generally of the podcast is like one topic in Horizon. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, to wrap it up, I think, I do want to ask one more question. Well, I guess I know the answer, because the answer is both. What I was going to say is, what's the fix to the playlist feeling like a chore? And I was going to say, like, is it better events or better rewards? And I think obviously the answer is both. We want better rewards and better events. So I answered my own question. I think better events. I mean, if you had to pick one, if you could only have one, if the rewards stayed the same but the events were more fun, or the events stayed the same but the rewards were more rewarding, which one would you take? Like, which one do you think is more of a problem? I guess I would say rewards. You guys would take rewards, better rewards. Yeah, I think that's fair. Zeke says events. Okay. It's very hard to fix due to how it needs to include both casuals and pros. I think that is a problem for Horizon as a whole. Yeah. Easy rewards. Okay, so a little bit leaning towards rewards, but definitely a few people saying they'd rather have better events. Which I think both are fair. I totally think both are fair. The events being able to be done more organically. This is what we were talking about this earlier, Sappy, is that you can't, like, you don't like passively complete the playlist. You go out of your way to do the playlist. But yeah, more organically than go to this specific thing in this specific car and do X, as opposed to get 1,000 miles an hour total in speed zones. Yeah. Yeah, I do. We talked about it a lot earlier, and we kind of talked about like how making the completion more generic takes away from some of the theme, but in some ways it's good, in some ways it's bad. We talked about it. You prefer the journey over the destination. Just want to play the game to have fun, not collect. Yeah, and I get that. Like, obviously, we talked about this Friday when we were talking about Need for Speed. Was like, ultimately, if the game is fun, that's its own reward, right? Like, the core gameplay loop, if that's fun, then it doesn't matter what the rewards are. No one's playing Team Fortress 2 for the rewards. They're playing Team Fortress 2 because it's a fun game to play. And so, if you have fun reasons to play the game every week, that is absolutely its own reward. I do, however, think that's more challenging than just like giving people more cars. It's more challenging than just giving people better rewards. Well, yeah, obviously everyone plays TF2 for the hats anyway, right? You can still have restrictions, but the level of specificity to me is what makes it a chore. Yes. Finding balance between enjoyable and arbitrary. Yeah, no, I fully agree. And again, yeah, we chatted about it a little more in depth earlier, but yeah, I do fully agree. The best part of Horizon 5 is racing with the homies on Hoki's Discord in the evening. Hey, dude, I love it. It always makes me happy jumping in the Discord and seeing like a group of people in voice chat that are like having fun, doing their own thing. That's totally fine, Sappy. That's totally fine. Okay, well, is there anything that you guys think needs to be discussed further about Festival Playlist? Do you think we sufficiently deep dived it? Do you guys have any other ideas, any other thoughts, any other pros, cons, any other topics that that you think needs talking about, or should we put a bow on this one? I very much agree with that, Howie. The Hot Wheels stuff on the playlist is an unnecessary chore. I never do it because it just involves me loading into a new map, which means more time. I think that, again, is a symptom of another problem where the DLC maps are like a separate experience and it takes time to get there, so why would you do it? You guys do it first so you can just forget about it, not for fun. Sure. I think, and this is unfortunately probably going to be a theme across many of these podcasts, is Horizon 5 is a very interconnected experience. And there's not just like one thing. Like, one thing is often very linked to another thing. And there are a lot of things that I think could use improvement. And I think the Festival Playlist is like a great first example of that, where if the solo races were more fun, like if the money was more rewarding, like there are so many things where it's like, if the other feature was better, it would make the Festival Playlist better, right? You were not in Hot Wheels. I'm guessing you're saying, Avatar, you haven't been to Hot Wheels in a very long time. The Hot Wheels map is above the map. Why not use the cool cannon to get up without being a loading screen? Dude, that would be awesome. The cannon that you see like the first time you get there. Yeah. I think this is something I like, just generally speaking about games as a whole, is that I think more immersive travel and fast travel is important. I think that's important. Mechanically sound, but issues are so tangled in a web that you can't unwrap it without tearing the game wide open. Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it. Yeah. Technically, in terms of progression, the lot. They call it Hot Wheels and half the roads are frozen. Absolute scam. True. There is probably more ice than there is fire in the Hot Wheels DLC. So honestly, we got fully scammed. And we're just now realizing. Teleporting around is the biggest chore about the playlist. Dude, I fully agree. And I think that's coming from a player who has the game on like an NVMe SSD and has really fast loading times. I would imagine that for an original Xbox One player, doing the playlist sucks because you're spending upwards of 5 to 10 minutes in loading screens. I would have to guess. And this is what I was saying with the championships, is the reason I don't like the championships is largely because it's annoying, like teleporting to the championship, clicking it, having it load, doing one race, backing out in the open world, clicking the map, finding the next race, fast traveling to it, clicking to enter the race, going into another loading screen, and then starting the next race, and then doing that all over again. Like if I could just go race, 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 it would be a much smoother experience. But they don't have the, it's not structured that way, which sucks. Yeah, if you're on an HDD, that sucks. You're on an Xbox One S, it's about 10 minutes until you're actually playing. Dude, that is rough. That is rough. Really rough. They should have had the road trip playlist be all about areas and not a race type. Or not a race type. That's what a road trip is. I agree. Maybe they can do that in another playlist. Yeah. We do not have the technology. I mean, I think, again, the topic for another day, but there are definitely some things holding Horizon back when it comes to Xbox One support. The fact that they are still supporting the original Xbox One, which is, what, a decade old, practically at this point, is definitely holding the game back in some ways. Yeah, Road Trip 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yeah. Long load times on Xbox One, my wait times are chill, because I'm on Discord with buds. Hey, friends make bad situations better. That's the nice thing about friends, for sure. Okay. All right, let's put a wrap on this. Let's put a wrap on the festival playlist discussion. It's funny because, like, I do think there's so many other things we could talk about, but I want to keep it like an hour. I want to keep it like about an hour, and we're at like an hour and a half. So let's put a bow on that discussion. I think ultimately, again, we can say it's a pretty good feature, but it's very dependent on how good other features are. And sometimes those features aren't too great, and there are some technical limitations. And I think there are a few tweaks, like better rewards and encouraging more skill, that could really give the feature an extra point. If you were at a 7, bump it up to an 8. If you were at a 4, bump it up to a 5. I think there are some pretty easy solutions to improve the festival playlist that are contained within the festival playlist, like adjusting reward points based on skill level, or adding more interesting rewards like custom liveries to the playlist so that it's more fun to do certain events. Or from a technical perspective, letting you complete championships in like one go without like 8 loading screens in between. Okay. Topic 1 done. Now, because I did only budget like 2 hours of my time today, we are only going to go for like another like 15 minutes, but I do want to quickly talk a little bit about Need for Speed Heat and the Unite mod, which we talked about on Friday. I think we did have a pretty good conversation about it, but I do want to say that I do think Heat is good enough for a replay. And I think if Unite can figure out their issues, it would 100%. Hold on. There we go. I think it would 100% be worth it. If and only if Unite can figure out what's going on with the story progression. Because the biggest thing that pulls me out of Heat is when I have to quit the game and disable the mod in order to like complete the story, and that sucks. And the fact that like you don't get as much of Unite through the story progression because it bugs out. And I like that they're trying. I like that they're trying to make a story compatible version of the mod, but it clearly isn't there yet. And unfortunately, I don't know if it'll ever get there because Unbound is coming out in... I'm trying to look at the date. Unbound comes out in 9 days. Whoa. I'm like... I feel like Whiplash still from Unbound. It's like, the game was just announced like a couple months ago. We still haven't even really seen gameplay. Hold on a minute. Yeah. The game comes out in 9 days, and we haven't really seen gameplay. Oh, that makes me nervous. That's a bad sign. Oh, no. Wow. Yeah, to be super clear, we've had highly edited, very short clips of gameplay. We have technically seen gameplay. We've seen some in-engine things, but in total, we've seen, I'd say, less than a minute of raw gameplay, and it's all been very highly selected, very highly edited gameplay. Generally speaking. Yeah, very, very small vertical slices. Dragon says tomorrow, apparently, they're going to be showing some gameplay. Yeah, we need a long form gameplay trailer. But man, dropping that like a week before the game comes out? It's interesting. I mean, technically, if it comes out, it comes out. If it's before the game releases and people are able to make a more informed decision, then so be it. But like, pre-orders have been open, you know? But a lot of people probably have already bought the game. Yeah. It's going to be part of Origin Access. Yes, you get, I think, a 10-hour... I don't remember what it is with the different levels, but I know you get like a 10-hour preview of the game 3 days early if you have like EA Access or whatever. Dragon did pre-order. I don't know. Fair enough. Yeah, I generally recommend not pre-ordering unless you're like positive you're gonna play the game, but for at least, you know, the amount of time you think you can get out of that $60 or whatever. It looks very Heat-y, so I don't think they need to showcase much gameplay to show what it's like, since it'll be an evolution of Heat's baseline. I think they do, because they've talked about the physics. And they've talked about how, like, oh, it's double the physics polling rate, and oh no, grip is viable now. Like, they need to show us that. I think they need to show us that. And the gameplay structure does look fairly different in terms of how it works with, like, completing events throughout the week and stuff like that. But yeah, it shocks me how short the release, the announcement to release window has been on that game. Absolutely shocks me. Can't say I'm hyped about Unbound, but I'm very hyped about hokey Unbound content. Hey, glad to hear it. Yeah, I'm more like nervous than I am excited. You're gonna happily miss the launch and see how people feel. That's generally the way to go. Patient gamers, that's where it's at. Patient gaming. I wish games would stop with graphics, this ray tracing, that, and actually make a game that fully functions. I agree. Graphics are easier to market, though. That's the problem. You like that they kept it quiet until the game was done. Well, we'll see if the game's actually done. We have yet to know if the game's actually done. But yeah, I do agree. I think there's we talked about this before, but there's definitely like a too long. And they definitely didn't hit that. But is there like too short? Who knows? You don't play Need for Speed anyway, so you're just here for the tea. Hey, fair enough. Emissary's very hyped for Unbound, already pre-ordered. Need for Speed always entertains, so no big issue. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. We talked about this kind of during our last Heat stream. Unbound, to me, it just feels like it's going to be a worse version of Heat. That's unfortunately how I feel. Hopefully, the physics are better. Hopefully, the gameplay loop's better. Hopefully, the end game progression is better. But we haven't seen any of that. Because the most stuff that they've shown us is like clothing customization. Like, I literally know more about like what clothing brands are going to be in the game than I do about like what body kit manufacturers are going to be in the game. I don't care about Versace. And again, we've talked about this already. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, I'm going to play it. We'll see how it goes. I feel like the bold visual direction indicates Criterion have a strong idea of what they want it to be. True. At the same time, it feels style over substance and EA pushing brands onto the game. Yeah, I think style over substance is going to be my big talking point with the game. I think they're doing something very flashy and exciting and new, but like, how much is that going to matter? Like, who cares if you can make purple tire smoke that's cartoony if the game isn't fun? You know, like that's going to be the big deciding factor. So yeah, I don't know. Avatar customization has ruined racing games. I think that the big problem is that it doesn't add any value to the game. It's the same thing with Horizon, where it's rare that you see your character. You don't really do anything with your character anyway. So why does it matter? Why dedicate so much dev time into character customization and not do anything with the characters? Let us walk around. Let us go to car meets and walk around and like actually show off our style. If you're gonna focus on character style making a big difference, then let us do that. Like, let us show it off. So yeah. Gotta mark the checkbox or else reviewers will be angry. Yeah, I don't know. I like customizing characters, but then I can't say it would add anything to Underground 2, for example. Yeah, I mean, for example, I love character customization, generally speaking, but it's where it matters. You know, like, I love customizing my character in, you know, I don't know, Elden Ring. Because you, like, see your character, and you're always looking at your character. I don't care about character customization in Horizon, because 90% of my gameplay, I literally can't see my character, so it just doesn't matter. Yeah, your car is your character. Exactly. So yeah, it definitely bums me out that there's such a heavy focus on character customization without it, like, just mattering. Do the clothing brands with a fat paycheck get to be included, like bundle software and laptop? It isn't there to improve the product, but generate revenue. I fully do think that's the case, yeah. You know, why else do you have Versace in your game? It's advertising. It's advertising, having these clothing brands in your game. No, absolutely that is it. Absolutely that is it, but, you know, it still is, I think, a valid question of saying, just like, I guess it's valid to look at and say, well, clearly they're not doing it because it makes the game more fun. They're doing it because, yeah, they can get a nice fat paycheck because they're adding some advertising to their game. Yeah. Another water break. All right, dudes. Well, we are reaching the end here. And we are getting a little bit off topic. We're going to talk about Unbound plenty in a couple of weeks. I think the next podcast is just going to be all about Unbound. Yeah, most likely. So we'll get to that. I think we had a great discussion about the festival playlist. What always is the most fun for me is, like, I will have my own ideas, but hearing what you guys have to say and being like, oh my god, that's genius. Like, that's what this is all about for me. It's like having the conversation with you guys, and as a group of, you know, however many of us, all come and collaborate on how to make a certain thing better or what we like and don't like about it. Kind of focus group it, I guess, a little bit. I think is a great way to have a discussion about the topic. And obviously, I definitely didn't personally feel like I was struggling to fill time. You know, I literally thought, I was like, ooh, man, I don't know if we're going to be able to do like 2 hours. Like, talk about just one feature for an hour straight. And then here I am, like, we could just keep talking about this, like, all freaking day. At least I could. Yeah, so everybody, say goodbye to Chonkachu. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Who knows? In a couple weeks, I guess we'll talk about this quickly. The plan is to do this every other week. Every other Sunday. Just so you know. The title is a work in progress. We'll see if we like it or not. I'll keep thinking about it. And yeah, thank you guys for coming out for the inaugural episode. I think by next time we'll have a little bit more of a solid structure in place. We're just still kind of feeling this whole thing out. And I'm gonna have to like go back and watch this. And obviously we didn't use any of our cool things. We didn't really have any of that. And we didn't really have like a time. I didn't prep you guys on like, hey, show me stuff. We'll have that more in place next time. And yeah, that's that. Shoot, I can't end the stream until I walk up to the computer. So I guess I'll walk up to the computer. Yeah, the podcast is structured to be about 2 hours, Avatar. Structured to be about 2 hours for the podcast. So hey, I'll see you guys all Wednesday. And pretty soon we're all gonna be playing Unbound. All right, everybody. Here I go to end the stream. Thanks for being here. Bye.